A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome Caroline Masters. Caroline, welcome.
Hi, Mary. Nice to be with you again.
It's lovely to see you again. And of course, you are one of our homeopaths on Homeopathy 24/7. You talk to people all around the world about homeopathy. You're based in the UK and you have a number of really interesting special interests. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was wanting to talk to you about the gut health group that we have on Facebook. And there's a group of 5 of us in this Homeopathy for Gut Health team. And we talk about all sorts of things related to gut health, basically. So people say, oh, why is that important? Because it's actually discovering that it's the root of a lot of chronic complaints. It's the foundation stone, really, for a lot of health in general.
I would agree with that. Absolutely, totally. Whatever we are talking to anybody about with their health, the gut is involved.
It really is. It's incredible, actually. I mean, I've learned more, in fact, in being involved in this group than I learned at college. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this means that you are actually talking to people with all kinds of different diagnoses or symptoms. And
absolutely, yeah.
It has to cover everything, every aspect of that.
Yes, that's right. It can be challenging, but we kind of try and get to the root of things like we do with in our holistic therapy and with homeopathy. And yeah, it can be quite surprising, and people make connections along the way with when they talk about themselves in a consultation, and yeah, it's very revealing.
Okay, yes. For me, it's just bringing up the whole issue, which I really have a beef about, and I really have a problem to do with the food that is produced in this day and age, and that what people are sold as food isn't really food. Does food come into a lot of your conversation?
It can do. I'm not a nutritionist, so I try not to give advice necessarily about that. But we do discuss food because obviously what you eat it provides the background healthy soil, if you like, for health in general. So it is really important to think about where your food comes from, make good food choices, and we're learning more and more all the time about what those are. And farming practices, I think, are sometimes adjusting, as we become more aware of the damage that we've done actually in the past. So yes, it's really interesting.
Yeah. And of course, I expect you're talking to people who have been down the mainstream route and have thought, oh, actually, no, I don't want to have my gallbladder taken out. I don't want to have this done. I don't want to have that done. Because it seems that mainstream medicine doesn't really address gut issues very well.
Well, I think often, people will go to the doctor with a complaint, and there's the medicines there which will help those symptoms, alleviate the symptoms. But it's looking at what's deeper. That's what we can do with homeopathy. So yeah, we do get on the gut health page, on the group page, we get a lot of questions about things like bloating and heartburn and indigestion, and even things like celiac and gluten intolerance, which are a bit more deeper issues really to unravel.
Yeah.
And things like constipation and diarrhea, things that come up for people, and everyone's had experienced some of those. So that's the majority of the questioning, but we try and talk about deeper issues and make those connections of how these are little signals from the body to say, something's a little bit out of whack. Let's see if we can adjust something, we can address something. So yeah, as you were saying about medicines and so on, yes, people can be kind of stuck on those meds for quite a long time, like the proton pump inhibitors and the antacids and so on. So homeopathically, we can deal with the background cause of that and then alleviate those symptoms so that hopefully they can give up those drugs and move forward. That's the plan.
Okay. So understanding why homeopathy is good for gut-related issues, then you're talking about going deeper and addressing the cause. So instead of giving an antacid tablet, you're actually finding out why the stomach is producing more acid.
Sometimes it's less acid actually as well, which is weird, but true. It's an imbalance, isn't it, in the body that's something's out of whack. So yeah, homeopathy is that gentle modality. We can use it to gently find out what's going underneath, and it's not addictive, it's not harmful, there's no side effects. We can just go step by step. I have a case at the moment I'm dealing with, which is a lady who she's had diarrhea every morning for about 10 years. So she was very fed up, as you can imagine. And gradually, I've been seeing her for about a year, and gradually, bit by bit, she's not having the diarrhea every morning, which is a great relief to her. And she's starting to eat some of the trigger foods that were a real problem. She couldn't go anywhere near eggs, and now she can eat eggs. She's finding gluten much better. She was very intolerant to that. So, it's baby steps, but we are much further ahead than we were. And I guess, I'm trying to gently remind her that 10 years is a long time, and 1 year of improvement is actually, we're doing really well. So we're still working on it, but yeah.
That's right. And you're so right, because it's not a quick fix, is it, homeopathy? Because it can't be, can it? Because we're actually teaching the body to react in a different way. We're trying to balance the body and get it to stay at a different way of reacting when it's so used to doing something else. But of course, that is part of the journey of us learning more about our bodies as well, isn't it?
Absolutely,
why is our body doing this?
Yes, absolutely. That's right. I think that's it. And people become more in touch with themselves as well, and listening to those signals, as it were.
Yeah. So, of course, for treatment of constipation, for diarrhea, for bloating, for any of these issues, there are going to be a number of different causes. So you're actually looking at different remedies for each of those for different people.
Absolutely. Well, that's the other really good thing about homeopathy. It's individualized, as we know. So it is about exploring what exactly are your symptoms, not just what are the symptoms of a named syndrome or disease state or something like that. It's about how is it for you? And then we can whittle it down to which remedy will help.
Yes. Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? And I love helping people with food allergies and intolerances, because they've been told it is something that they're always going to have, and actually it's going to get worse. And often it's not surprising because of what we do with our food, and how it's farmed these days and the changes that are being made. But it is so rewarding when suddenly, as your patient, they can now eat eggs, they can do a little bit of gluten. And it's just being able to survive in this world, isn't it? It's much easier if you can do a little bit of everything to be able to go out and eat out or eat with friends.
Yes, that's what my patient was saying. She's just found it so restrictive of having such a narrow choice of foods, and going out was a big problem because something would make her flare up and she might not know why. So that's improving, definitely on the right track now.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the digestive disorders that come up in your group and obviously with your patients as well.
So the deeper kind of syndromes that we sometimes talk about are things like GERD, which is heartburn, the gastroenterology, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis. They're big long names, aren't they? Crohn's disease, that's a very deep chronic issue to deal with, actually. Even for homeopaths, it takes a little while.
Yeah.
And then there's the IBS, which is such a blanket term, IBD, and SIBO as well, which are quite difficult to deal with on a day-to-day basis, but we can really help those symptoms quite quickly and then unravel what's really going on underneath over a little bit more time. But yeah, it's definitely, it's very rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, as you said, titles like irritable bowel syndrome, it's not useful to anybody, is it? It's just such a big cover for an unknown event that's happening, and usually stress related in some form. So you, as well as having a look at that and looking at how people are reacting to their environment and what they're doing around, you must be coming across lots of emotional reasons that need to be addressed. There must be in their trauma, there must be in their grief, there must be in their anxiety that you're coming across again and again.
There are definitely elements of that, and in our gentle questioning in our first consultation, that's often what we try and explore, as much as possible without getting too upsetting about it. But yeah, there's definitely connections all over the place with emotions and physical symptoms. I suppose the fundamental thing you think of is what's making you feel sick.
Yes.
What can't I stomach? It's kind of those sort of questions in a way that might be able to reveal the answer.
Okay. And of course, this then brings us back to general immunity, doesn't it? Can we be improving immunity, and will that help with gut health in the future?
Well, I mean, I think we're finding out more and more with the scientists doing more studies on this area, that gut health is absolutely fundamental to our immunity. The cells in our guts are, well, they say there's 70 to 80% immune cells in the gut, and it's all about the microbiome, which is a very topical word to use, which is all about our bacteria and whether they're good bacteria or whether they're imbalanced or there's a more unhealthy bacteria can really affect your mood. It can affect so much, mental health, all sorts, really, that we hadn't really appreciated until recently. So yeah, that's been that's quite an interesting area to go to research. Absolutely.
Okay, so what you're saying then is as you're helping people rebalance their gut, you're then working after that at further balancing in order to improve general immunity, because so much immunity is based in the gut.
That's right, yeah. I mean, the gut mucosa, which is a really thin layer on the inside of your intestinal wall, plays a major part in immune health. So we need a nice, healthy layer of that in order to stop it's what's called leaky gut syndrome, or a gut permeability, which is when the toxins in our food and the processes that some of those bacteria actually do, and our bodies don't do everything. We do rely on our gut bacteria to do lots of little tasks. Sometimes some of those nasties get through the gut wall, and that's where we end up with potentially allergies and skin issues and more and worse things as well. So yeah, the gut mucosa is very much good to focus on what's going on there if we can, and that's all about the immune health too.
Okay. And of course, a lot of people that come to us are used to seeing in the shops and buying probiotics and prebiotics and all sorts of things like that. Has homeopathy got something that we can be using that is similar, equivalent, better?
Absolutely, yes. 100 years ago, Dr. John Patterson discovered, he was working in a laboratory, and he had lots of stool samples coming in, and he started in fact, it was Dr. Bach as well who did the Bach flower remedies. They noticed there were certain characters that came in with certain bacterial present in their stools, so they sort of built this whole picture of but there's 11 what they call bowel nosodes, and we can also use those to treat people to help them balance their guts as well. And one or two of them are quite useful, a post-antibiotic treatment to repopulate the guts and so on. It's quite, again, there's lots of lovely literature about those, helpful to help rebalance things, and they include the mental emotional picture too.
Yes, of course. Okay, so let's just so that we're clear and everybody can be understanding. When somebody thinks, okay, have we got a remedy for constipation or diarrhea? We could choose an acute remedy, a remedy that would just is pointed towards the way that they experience diarrhea. But when you go and see a homeopath uses many other ways of prescribing.
Yes, that's right. Because we're looking at a bit more than just those immediate symptoms. We're looking at to see, what if you have diarrhea, that's usually because the body's trying to get rid of some toxicity somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a pathogen because you've got an upset tummy, or there's something that the body's decided is a pathogen, like an allergy.
Yeah.
So, you're looking deeper to see what might be the reason for that diarrhea, as opposed to, oh, it's just a bit of diarrhea, let's stop it up.
Okay, so you're actually looking at the whole health history to see
Yes, that's
what
right.
else has gone on there. So you're looking at that. And you might also, I guess, be looking at inherited susceptibilities. You might be addressing things miasmatically too.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there can be very strong patterns through families that have resulted not necessarily in gut health issues, but there's groups of susceptibilities, if you like,
Mm-hmm.
that can come under these big disease states that we call nosodes that we give for people, and they're very deep acting. They're very deep acting indeed.
Okay. So we've got miasmatic prescribing, we've got the health history, and I guess constitutional prescribing would be looking at the whole picture, emotional and physical and responses to things. We've then got bowel nosodes that you've explained a little bit about repopulating the gut bacteria and getting that more balanced as well, and maybe detoxing for toxins, and liver detoxing and other toxin needs to take place as well.
Yes, that's right. Well, we have the human chemistry format, which we can follow if necessary as well for detoxing purposes. But also organ support is very important, I think, as a background.
Yeah.
To help the likes of the liver to, it's all connected, the liver and the guts, and the whole digestive system. You can't really isolate one thing from another particularly, because it then has an effect. So we use all those things.
And of course, whatever happens, if you're removing toxins, there are always organs that are going to need supporting. You wouldn't be doing that without that organ support. So it actually is a very complex medicine in the end, isn't it? It is lovely that everybody can treat things acutely and that can use it in the home. But actually, what we're discussing here is a really complex way of addressing the cause and rebalancing the whole body.
Yeah, and it can be transformative too, life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as anybody knows who has been suffering from diverticulitis or Crohn's disease, it is massively debilitating
Oh,
in so
absolutely,
many ways.
yeah. Not being able to go out and so on is, and not being able to eat out and be sociable with other people. That affects your mood, and it's not good.
No.
So we can help.
Yeah. Brilliant news. So let's just make sure that we're understanding. We'll put the link to the group underneath. You've got a team of homeopaths as well that people can consult with, and in order to go much, much deeper. But what you're doing on the group is helping people understand what questions to be asking, what extra research to be doing.
Yes, and we're sort of informing them, educating them a little bit with certain posts as well. I mean, we try to make sure that there's a discussion going on in the group if possible, So I think that's more helpful to group members if it's more live and personal, and someone asks a question and then we respond. I like that. But we do also post about something. I've just found all these interesting connections. So I've been posting about things like brain fog and how the gut health is connected to the thyroid gland. And it just goes on and on. It's amazing.
Yeah, yes. And of course, that's why us homeopaths never stop learning, isn't it? Because you kind
That's
of,
what I love
the more
about
that
it.
you know, the more that you need to know, and the more research. And that is what we've all loved about having groups where we can interact with people, and we learn so much from our audience, from our community.
Absolutely, yeah. We wouldn't be anywhere without them.
Brilliant. It's lovely talking to you today, Caroline. Thank you so much for coming in and just explaining a little bit more about what's really going on, what we're up to.
No problem, Mary. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for coming in and sharing your experiences about homeopathy and healing the gut. It is such a big topic, and everybody knows somebody who needs help in this area. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking to Dr. Varsha M. Karana, and we're going to be discussing homeopathy for coughs. That is, remedies for coughs. We're going to be listening to some coughs and talking about the remedies that we might be looking at for that. Now, coughs is one of the hardest things to find the right remedy for. And the reason for that is because we have over 500 remedies that are really good for coughs. So don't be dismayed if finding the right remedy for a cough is really, really difficult for you. It is for us as well. But we'll be discussing it in detail with Dr. Varsha. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care.
I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.